me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
can. I can see you. Perfect.
Thank you. Mr. President, members of the board, elected committee members of Toastmaster from local level up to international level, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. Since the first time I attended the Toastmaster International Conference, I dreamt of the day that I'll be standing up on that stage myself, delivering the keynote address. When I was approached last year by our international president, Deepak Manem, and Jane Mooney from my club, and asked to give the keynote address at the 2020 International Conference, I couldn't say yes quick enough. From all the time I dreamt through of this moment, and even when they approached me last year, I dreamt of large stages. I dreamt of rooms full of people. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd deliver my first keynote address standing in my own bedroom. But with that, times will change, and you do have to battle with what life throws at you. So the topic tonight we're going to discuss is goal setting. I'm going to take you through how to create smart goals, how to learn to grow with your goals, and then at the end, I'm going to take you through my 5 steps to ensure that you do not only reach the starting line of your goals, but you successfully find the finish line as well. Now, in order to think if or not a goal is smart, first thing we need is a goal. So we'll go with, I want to be in charge of Ireland. That's my goal. So now we'll have a look and see, is this a smart goal? So first of all, what do we mean when we talk about a smart goal? We talk about the goal must be specific. It must be measurable. It must be relatable or reliable. It must be achievable, and it must be timed. So, I want to be in charge of Ireland. Is this a smart goal? First of all, is this goal specific? Well, what do we mean by in charge of? Do I want to be mayor of a town? Do I want to be Taoiseach? Do I want to be Tánaiste? Do I want to be Attorney General? Or do I fancy getting that house in Phoenix Park and becoming president? It doesn't specify. And then again, do we even know when we say Ireland? Is that being specific? Do I mean the country in Europe? Do I mean the township in Indiana? Or do I mean the island that's currently off Dubai? So definitely we're not specific. Are we measurable? Well, no, we're too vague. We don't know what we're actually trying to achieve to realize if or not we can measure it. Is it achievable? Well, Walt Disney tells us, if you can dream it, you can do it. So it might be achievable once we just figure out what it is. Now with SMART, the letter R is the only one that actually stands for 2 different things. It can be realistic or relatable. This would depend on if the goal is a personal goal or if it's a company goal. And there's no point making up a great goal for your company if it doesn't relate to the other goals of the company. But for me, we're looking at, is it realistic? Well, similar to the rest, we have no idea what it is, so we cannot say if it's realistic or not. And finally, is it timed? Well, in theory, yes, because I'm going to get carried into the church one day, so I've either got the goal or I haven't. But I'm not quite sure that's what people mean when they ask, is it timed? So we'll go back and see, can we figure out a new way to do this goal? So first of all, specific. I want to be in charge. What do I want to be in charge of? I've always aimed for the sky, so I'll go for the top job. I want to be president one day. And of which island? Do I want the township in Indiana? Nah. Do I want the island off Dubai? Well, last I heard that island is sinking, so probably not. So we'll go for the European country known as Ireland. So we now have a specific goal. I want to be president of the European country of Ireland one day. Is this goal measurable? Absolutely. I'll either be president or I won't. There is no other option. Is it achievable? Well, I'm yet to find a goal I haven't been able to smash, so with me, I'll be nice to myself and say this is definitely achievable. Is it realistic? Well, most Western civilizations grow on the idea that if you put in enough time and effort, anything is achievable, anything is realistic. So we'll go with, yeah, it is realistic to think I can be president of Ireland one day. And finally, is the goal timed? Well, similar to what I said earlier, yes and no. So to be nice, we'll put an extra line on it, and we'll say I want to achieve this by my 60th birthday. So we have now gone from a goal of I want to be in charge of Ireland, which is not a smart goal, to I want to be the president of Ireland before I turn 60, which it is a smart goal. So next, how do we grow with our goal? Well, first thing, believe it or not, the G stands for we need a goal. So we know that, we have a goal to work on. The R in grow stands for reality. Realistically, can I achieve this goal? This comes down to what a lot of people forget when they set goals. The goal, they have to look at their life around them. So, for example, part of this goal of being president one day means I have to run for the local elections in 2014 as the start of my political career. How likely am I to be able to run in 2014? Or 2024, say, let's see. Between now and then, I've got a job, I'm likely to get promoted twice. I'm becoming a father for the first time in October. In the next 12 months, I want to buy a house. And I'm fairly confident I've got the child in the house, the girlfriend is going to look for promotion and want marriage. So I'm slightly busy in the next couple of years. So possibly this mightn't be a realistic goal, but for the benefit of tonight's speech, we'll pretend it is. Next up, O stands for options. As we've all heard along the way, there's many ways to skin a cat. So if I want to become president of Ireland, how can I do it? To me, there's three main paths I can go. I can go the political path. I can run for council. I can get elected to the Senate or the Dáil, and then run for president as a representative of the Oireachtas. Show that I have the political CV there that can battle any other person out there. I could go for the business route. I could follow the likes of Dennis O'Brien and, of course, US President Donald Trump and show my business savvy and show myself climbing through the ranks and show that business acumen can easily be transferred to running a country. And finally, I can take the voluntary route, like former candidate A.D. Roach. I can decide, you know what, in order to be president of Ireland, I first think I need to be international president of Toastmasters. So by getting to that level in Toastmasters, I've proven that I can run large organizations and that I have great people skills and able to adapt with people from all different nations. So there's plenty of options there for me to decide how I'm going to go along and do this. Next up, the W, will. No matter how much in life you plan, no matter how much passion you try and put into it, if you don't have the will power to achieve a goal, you will never achieve it. Because you'll be all great till you get to that first stage where you hit a barrier. It could be if you're training for a marathon, it's lashing rain on a cold winter morning, and in Ireland, we have plenty of those. You'll decide to stay in bed and not do the run that morning. Or perhaps I decided to go down the political route, and we have something like Golfgate at the moment. If I'm a government councillor, I'm not going to be interested in knocking on the doors to be told about some golf game over in Galway. So there we have it. We know how to create specific goals. We know how to grow with our goals. But then we look at my 5 tips to how you can actually not only reach your starting line, but you can also get to the finish line. First thing here, similar to will, believe. No matter what goal you want to achieve, if you cannot convince yourself that you'll achieve the goal, how can you convince everyone else? Go with my SMART goal here. If I cannot trust and believe in myself to be Irish president, how in God's name am I going to go on the stump, knock on all those doors, and convince the electorate of Ireland that this lovely man is going to be your next president? Next up, break it down. Seems simple. I'm here today. I want to be president before I turn 60. That's a fairly big goal, and it's quite hard to know in 2040 if I'm on target or not. So break it down into smaller stuff. So I'm going to go with the example of the political career. So, as I've already said, I'm going to go for council in 2024, probably 2 years as a councillor, then around 2034, run for the Dáil. Another 10, 12 years in the Dáil, and I should be ready then to prime my campaign to go to the Ásang Youth Run. And that way, I know that if it's 2030 and I'm not even a councillor yet, the chances of being president are few and far between. But I know if I reach the Dáil early, I might actually achieve my stint in the park well before my 60th birthday. My favourite tip of all these is reward. When you hit these goals for yourself, do reward yourself. Just make sure the rewards that you give are related to the goal you've achieved. For example, with me, when I was training for my tax exams, I figured if I got 6 hours good study done a day, I got a soft drink that night. It mightn't sound like much, but I got through the exams, so there must be something little to it. I even said to myself, the day I got my college degree, I set up the reward when I got my tax exams. I promised myself that day that if you make your way through, you get through those tax exams, there's a lovely Louis Copeland suit waiting for you at the end. Hey, that's me. Some people might want a bottle of whiskey. I want the Louis Copeland suit. So just make sure you do reward yourself for not only the big goals, but the little goals along the way. And make sure they do justify the reward you're giving yourself. It will help you get yourself along the way. Apparently, it seems Alexa's listening to me. That's never good. Alexa, stop. Next up is visualize. When you're looking at these goals, do visualize what you're looking at. As I said, many years ago, when I first wanted to give this keynote address, I tried to visualize what that was like. I closed my eyes. I could imagine the large auditorium I was in. I could see the national flags down the back. I could see the people in the front row. I could see Jane. I could see David Walsh. I could see Emma Fahy, all there watching the address. Because the one thing that is important with goals, your brain can be easily fooled. If you give yourself a deep enough visualization in your head, your brain does not know if that's something you've made up or something you've seen before. And it will work as much as it can to ensure that it can make that vision in your head come true. That's not only something large, like giving that. I know someone who ran the London Marathon. And when they closed their eyes, trying to encourage themselves, they visualized the finish line. They could see the giant London Virgin Marathon. They could hear the crowd cheering as they ran down the home straight. They could even see the clock. They could see that sub-4 time they were looking for on the clock. So make sure you are visualizing, as it will help you as you go along. And finally, the last thing is to make sure, unfortunately, life will always get in the way. So with all goals, you may have to stop at times and reevaluate. It doesn't mean the goal has failed. It just means it needs a little bit of tinkering. Going back to my SMART goal of becoming president, if anyone did the math, you'd realize there's a presidential election 3 months after I turn 60. And so I might decide that I'm not going to make the election 7 years prior, and I might just decide to stretch the goal out that extra 3 months to go from then. Or it could be the 7 years, the way I've laid out in 7-year blocks, doesn't actually achieve that. Unfortunately, a president could die in the middle, and that'll set the years up a different way, and will mean my lovely goal gets upset along the way. But important things with goals, they are there. You can achieve them. And just remember, if you write down your goal, you are 62% more likely to achieve that goal. After all, they say a goal that's not written down is just a wish. Now, folks, tonight I've told you how to have SMART goals. Make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, timed. You make sure you grow with your goals. Set the goal. Make sure it's a realistic goal. Look at all the options and have the will. We spoke about my tips to help you achieve, looking at believing in yourself, breaking down the goal into manageable chunks, reevaluating, rewarding yourself, and being able to visualize your goal. So now, folks, I have outlined here tonight how you can achieve your goals. So the next step is up to you to go out, set those goals, and make sure you find the finish line. Thank you, everyone.
Well done.